Okay. Welcome students to the first session of your unit 4, that is ultrasonic, optical and laser biosensors. So in this particular unit we are going to talk about how we use ultrasonic waves, optical light and laser in biomedical applications. Okay, so the basic topics that we are going to cover over here is basics of ultrasound, theory, characteristics, design, applications in medical science. Okay, then optical fiber sensors, we are going to talk about polarization, refractive index, light scattering, then micro opto electromechanical systems, that is MEMS, and finally we are going to talk about the laser in biomedical industry. So to begin with, first of all, let's talk about ultrasound. Before moving to the actual applications, let us just discuss some of the properties and definitions of ultrasound. So basically, what is ultrasound? Ultrasound is nothing but sonic energy, or you can say a sound wave at a frequency which is above the audible range. Okay, that is greater than 20 kilohertz. So this is nothing but a sound wave, but it is not audible to human ear. Okay, like all other forms of energy, the ultrasound also travels as a sequence of compressions and rarefactions of a suitable medium and is propagated through that medium at some velocity. So we all know that any sound wave, when it travels through a medium, whether it is air or maybe it is any other medium, it travels in the forms of alternate compressions and rarefactions. That is, the movement of those particles of that particular medium is initiated in this form, and the wave, energy wave, it travels through the medium with some velocity. So similar is with the ultrasound also travels in the same manner. Okay, then at frequencies which are normally used in diagnostic applications in biomedical, usually 2 to 8 megahertz, we have that frequency which is used over here. The ultrasound actually can be focused into a very fine beam, and it obeys all laws of reflection and refraction. So it is important to know, because all the calculations and etc that we are going to do with the help of ultrasound, we have to apply all the laws of optics, that is reflection, refraction, refractive index, Snell's law, etc. All the fundamentals that we obey for optics, we are going to obey for ultrasound wave also, particularly in biomedical, because the range of frequencies that we are going to use, it is similar to that of the behavior of the ultrasound in that frequency range is similar to that optical waves. Okay, so now we all know that whenever any beam of ultrasound it passes from one medium to another, some portion of the energy it gets reflected back, some gets refracted, and some energy is absorbed, which we call loss, or it is lost in the atmosphere. So three things happen: some part gets absorbed, some gets reflected, and some gets refracted. Okay, the amount of energy that is reflected, that depends on the difference in density between the two media and the angle at which the transmitted beam strikes the medium. So if there is a very high difference in the density of the two medium, so if when the ultrasound wave it strikes the interface of the medium, the larger the difference in the two densities, the greater will be the amount of reflected wave. Refracted wave is actually the wave which gets little deviated from its path and it goes on moving into the next medium. Reflected means it does not proceed further, rather it comes back into the same medium. Okay, so we are going to all the measurements that we make actually depend upon how much light is reflected, how much is refracted. All that calculations are done in order to make the diagnostic measurements with the help of ultrasound. Okay, now at interfaces of extreme difference in media, such as between tissue and bone or tissue and a gas, almost all the energy will be reflected back. Like I told you, that when there is a very large difference in the density of the two medium, then almost all of the energy will be reflected back and it will not be propagated further. Okay, therefore the propagation path of ultrasound should not contain bone or gaseous medium such as air. Okay, so for example, when incidenting an ultrasound wave, it will percolate from various tissues because they are of somewhat of similar materials with different densities. But as soon as it strikes a bone structure, the complete light will come back, it will not propagate further. So you will not be able to see anything beyond that bone, okay, with the help of an ultrasound wave. So that way, wherever, similarly, if you have lungs, if you try to see something in the lungs with the help of ultrasound, you won't be able to see, because from soft tissue suddenly there comes air, okay, and there is a large difference in density of the two. So the entire ultrasound wave will get reflected back, and it will not actually go into the next medium, okay. So when we have to keep this in mind, that when we are applying ultrasound to human body, airless contact is necessary. Okay, this is produced by using an aqueous gel between the transducer and the skin. Very popularly, you must have been to some ultrasound centers. You must have seen that the operator first applies certain jelly structure on your skin surface, and then they use the ultrasound probe. So basically that is important, because if there is air in between, again air and then your skin, there is a very vast difference in the density of the two. So the ultrasound wave will not have a proper propagation if there is air in between. So to have an airless contact, that aqueous gel is used between the transducer and the skin. Right. Now, there are certain important definitions that you need to keep in mind whenever we are talking of ultrasound. First thing is acoustic impedance. Now, ratio of the acoustic pressure of the applied ultrasound to the resulting particle velocity in the material. Okay, acoustic pressure. Now, acoustic means sound. Okay, so because ultrasound is also one of the similar to the sound waves, we are using the word acoustic over here. So acoustic impedance in any material for ultrasound is basically the ratio of the pressure of the applied ultrasound and to the particle velocity in that material. Okay, then acoustic impedance. Now when we are talking of acoustic pressure and all that, this somewhat becomes a bit of complicated quantity. So a simpler quantity was defined in called characteristic impedance. Okay, this is the product of material density and velocity of sound through it. So any material you take and you propagate sound wave, whatever with whatever velocity the sound is traveling, the product of that velocity with the material density gives you characteristic impedance. Because in the acoustic impedance, the acoustic pressure and etc., it is difficult to measure that. So calculating acoustic impedance becomes a little bit difficult. So characteristic impedance came into picture, and this is a comparatively simple to calculate. Okay, so characteristic impedance is the product of the material density and velocity of the sound through it. Then we have an important term called half value layer. This is the depth of penetration at which the ultrasound energy is attenuated to half the applied amount. So for example, if I say that I had applied an ultrasound of suppose magnitude X, okay, but when it traveled suppose 2 centimeters, the amount, the magnitude that was left was suppose X by 2. So 2 centimeters will be called as the half value layer for that particular medium. Okay, so in any medium, when we are applying ultrasound of certain magnitude, at what depth does half of it is left? As I told you that every now and then there is some absorption, some loss taking place. Okay, so at some point, at some distance, at some depth in that particular medium, the energy of the ultrasound will remain half of what originally you were using. That particular depth is called half value layer. Okay, then fourth one is attenuation constant. As the wave travels through the material, some of the energy is absorbed and the wave is attenuated a certain amount by each centimeter through which it travels. So attenuation constant basically is how much the wave gets attenuated when it travels 1 centimeter in that medium. Okay, so with each centimeter, how much energy is getting lost? Like I told you, every medium it absorbs also certain energy, which we call attenuation, because that is a loss that is not useful to us in any way. Okay, so from the original source that works as an attenuation. Okay, so attenuation constant basically is, at the rate at which the attenuation is taking place for each centimeter when the ultrasound wave is traveling through a medium. The attenuation constant actually alpha is calculated as CF raised to the power beta. C over here is a proportionality constant, F is ultrasound frequency, and beta is exponential term that is determined by the property of the material. So this formula is very important. This has to be kept in mind whenever we are doing any calculations, because the attenuation constant now it depends upon the material, because beta comes from there, and the amount of frequency that we are using. So how much energy it has, that depends on that also. The attenuation constant depends. So this formula we need to remember for all our further calculation.